Just above Baxter. Well, we'll wait till Tim's ready.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. This is the August meeting of the Chicago Computer Society South Suburban Computer Chapter. And I want to mention at this point, before I forget, this Thursday night is Ed Keating's Northwest Computer Club meeting at 7 o'clock. He doesn't send out his invitation until usually Wednesday evening. And a week from tonight is the Linux SIG at 7 o'clock on next Tuesday night. So those are upcoming things that some of you may be interested in. I don't know. I'm also going to mention, for those of you who are stuck on Windows 10 and don't have at least one Windows 11 system, you got about 25 or 6 months to go before the end of life of 10. And I'll tell you right now, if you're planning on continuing on with Windows, you're crazy to continue on with a dead version of Windows. It can be a security nightmare for your information. And second of all, you're not going to learn 11 in 30 minutes. That takes a good amount of time. You have to invest the time to play with 11 until you start getting comfortable with it while you're still using the 10 machine. And it's still okay. Once you get comfortable with 11 and 10 stops, who cares? If you want to, you can convert your old machine that only will support 10 as the highest Windows level to either 11 unsupported. You are totally responsible for any problems that come up. You have to do your own research. You have to do your own fixes. Microsoft will not help you. And if you, the only other alternative is to go to Linux. And Linux does have a high learning curve. You take it a bit at a time. And just like if you were doing 11. If you get a machine now, you got 2 years to pick up a lot and get comfortable with it. If you're going to go to Linux, you got 2 years before the 10 is obsolete to start really learning and getting comfortable with Linux. I don't care what way you go. That's your personal decision. Now, I had the machine you're seeing me on right now is 11 unsupported. I've had it for ever since 11 came out. Actually, a little before 11 came out. It's an old machine. 2008 or 2009, I changed it from a dual core to a quad core, and it doesn't have hyper-threading. And I went from 4 gigs to 8 gigs for quite a while. But I needed more memory, so it's now got 16 for quite some time. That's because 11 is a hog. You add in Zoom, it's a hog. You get in some of these browsers, Chrome, Edge, etc. They're all hogs. And suddenly you start running into problems where you're unstable on the internet because the processor can't move, so to speak, fast enough in order to keep up the internet and what you have going on your local computer in software programs running. Because right now I have on this machine Zoom, a browser, and my video recording software. On another system that I'm registered with, it's just got a browser and Zoom running, and it's using Zoom to do a backup report. I have a third machine here. It's a brand new Windows 11 system. But instead of going the Nux like Al Cheeks and Bob Premick, it's a case where I have, and this is weird part, uh, and a lot of businesses use these, especially in doctors' offices and hospitals. Uh, they're a 7-inch by 7-inch square approximately. They're an inch and a half to an inch and 3/4 thick. Some of the manufacturers refer to them as tiny versions. Some refer to them as micro versions, mini versions, EFF, and USFF. If you can't figure it out, they're all saying the same thing. I'm almost positive I don't have enough cable length where I've got the one unit to show you what they look like. I might be able to grab the other one by disconnecting it. Let me see if I can grab that one. And the one I'm on here with is Dell, and the other one's an HP.
And as I was showing earlier for a small form factor PC, I'm going to turn my video into a view of my NUC.
Here's one of my newest units. This is an HP. I have a Dell that has similar characteristics. They usually come with low power processors, but they can be upgraded. It uses a laptop power supply, 35 watt, 65 watt, 90 watt, and a surprise to me, there's actually a 130 watt power supply. Now this unit I bought just the case with the motherboard and its accessories, but no CPU, no memory, and no storage device. I did buy a CPU, stuck it in, and I already had memory. I had 8 gigs, and I had my own NVMe M.2 drive to stick in, but it doesn't support 11. This one is an older version. I got it specifically for Linux. The other Dell is very similar. It's a case where that unit is came with everything but the power supply. Oh, and this one didn't have power supply either, but I happen to have so many computers, I got the power supplies. I'll eventually order power supplies for them. This Dell comes with a Core i3 processor. It doesn't do too bad on some things, but it's so lightweight I gotta eventually replace it. It came with this M.2 drive. It's a SATA, not NVMe. So it's like having an older system that you stuck a 2.5-inch SSD in. But it works. But I wanted to replace it since I had a replacement already. And I stuck in that 8 gigs I already had. Today I decided to swap the Dell's 4 gig that it came with this one here that had 8 gig to get them swapped around, because 11, if you're doing real light things, worked with the 4 gigs, which is the minimum requirement. But to do a meeting like this, not a chance with 4 gigs. So it's now got 8 gigs in it. I got more memory on the way. But these are some of the things. They've got these units that come absolutely complete, except for sometimes they don't have a power supply. I haven't seen a power supply over $15 yet. if you do shopping anyway. And some of them come with no OS. Okay, so what? Microsoft gives everybody the OS for free. You download it, you put it on a 8 or 16 gigabyte flash drive, you stick it in, turn the thing on, it should find it, boot up to it, and give you the option to install. If you install, you may be shown that you have old partitions. They took the C drive and erased everything, but the old partitions are still there. You want to use an option in there to delete all those partitions. Then you hit the new button and then you hit install, and it goes through a complete clean install. It's that easy to do. But there are ones out there, they will give you even 11 on it, but you got to have an 8th gen, 9th gen, 10th gen, 11th gen, or 12th gen CPU. 8 and 9 are not too bad in price. But when you start getting to 10 and higher, especially 12, you could be talking a new machine that could cost as high as about $3,000. I don't think too many of them you're going to bother with that. But you can get a lot of these other machines. The used ones, they came off of leases, they've been rehabbed, but they don't come with any warranty other than by the seller, usually only 30 days at most. But sometimes when you look at them, you got to watch. They may say no return. So once you bought it, it's yours, period. So you got to be aware of that. I do, as a tech, have no problem with this. Is everybody like me? I certainly hope not. But anyway, it depends upon how independently minded you are. Are you a DIY person that tries to do things yourself, mostly to save money? For me, these two units, the one I showed you, so far it's cost me about $90. But I will have memory for it. But from what I'm seeing, the memory might cost me $16. Any shipping? No, in fact, the shipping was free, and that would be for 16 gigs of memory. It's all known about where and how to shop for this stuff. A lot of the stuff is on bidding, auction, and you have to learn the techniques to be a winner. If you otherwise don't care about the amount of money, there are buy it now. So you click on that and pay the price and any shipping. Some of the shipping on these has been anywhere between I'll say $5 to $25 to ship a unit, which I find a bit excessive for some of them, especially these real small ones. I can't see the justification. If they said 15, it would be at the high end of acceptability. So that's what I'm going to preach for today. If we got enough time at the end, fine. I do have a document that I will put in the chat at the end of the meeting. It has more articles than we're going to cover here today. So you do want to peruse through the listing because you may want to check out additional articles. So I got to see if I can get my act together. I have to play with 2 keyboards, 2 mice, and 4 machines that I got right around me all at the same time. Before I start, Bob Kremick?
Yeah, just one thing about pricing on the 12th gen Intel Core i5s. My tower is down to about 1,500, not 3,000.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's pretty well outfitted.
yeah, but now see, here's the other thing. Many of the systems you guys have bought are consumer class systems. These units that I bought here, the one I showed you and the one like it that's a Dell, these are business class. They have license in them for the pro version of Windows, period. That's why you can take the media, download it, put it on a stick, boot up the system, and when you got done with the install, you are a licensed user, period.
Yeah, mine is Pro, and it was not OEM. I did actually add the OS.
Okay. It's just
But they're coming down in prices, honestly.
yes, to some extent, prices are falling, but for me, I can see some very good systems, 8th, 9th gen, maybe even occasionally a 10th gen, for under $400. Business class, that's a higher standard in the hardware. As far as I'm concerned, okay, I'm a techie person, so I know what the shit I'm doing. I can deal with it and be fully operational. You can get some, hey, if all it needs is a power supply and installing your own copy of the Windows operating system, if you can't buy the power supply and install the Windows yourself, you're already in trouble. Because it's not draconian. You're not attempting to build a spaceship and get live human beings to the moon or Mars and back safely. If you were doing that, you wouldn't be playing with the PCs to begin with, other than as a terminal to a supercomputer. And you'd have an engineering background at least, a heavy one, aerodynamics and everything else. Offhand, I don't want to belabor this anymore. I'm just saying, right now, this minute, I have two live 11s. I have another 11. Actually 2 11s that I'm waiting to get an upgrade CPU on, and one of the CPUs is on the way, and I'll have about 4 or 5 of these damn things. Oh, hey. Hang on a second. I gotta keep attendance. Hello, Wayne. All right. So I'm giving you some avenues where you can get machines. I also get emails from one of these places I have bought a machine from in the past. They are selling a lot of older systems that cannot go to 11, but they do have some that are being sold with 10, compatible with 11, or they are coming with 11. They may be a little scuffed up or something like that, but fully operational. And that gives you another option there. The prices are a fraction of what you would pay for a new machine because there is no real warranty with the machines. These are outdated machines. Most of them, their warranty expired probably in 2019 or 2020. So I'm just giving you an idea of what can be achieved. And a lot of people are resistant going to 11. On these 2 units, I haven't had a lick of problem getting them up and running, fully compliant with 11. The first one that I had that was compatible with 11, I downloaded PC Health from Microsoft, ran it, and it says, I'm ready to go. How about you? So There's no issues with TPM, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing you might have to do is go into the BIOS, make sure all your virtualization is turned on, and it was automatically TPM2 compliant. So I don't care one way or the other. That's me. I'm not saying it's any of you. I'm just letting you know there are avenues to get into 11 at low cost compared to going out and buying either a consumer class machine versus business class, and you sometimes are stuck with, say, 11 home instead of 11 pro, and or you have to pay a heck of a lot more money, possibly twice as much. That's a decision each individual has to make for themselves. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can get into the presentation. See if I can screw something up here. I think this, yeah, that's the one. Okay. And I gotta see if I can move this sucker. Yeah. Well, I got rid of that. I'll move this over a bit. Okay. Now, also going to try and increase magnification, but I don't know if that'll work on everything. Okay, yeah, all right. Anyway, I'm going to put this in reader mode. Edge has reader mode. Some of the Chromiums have, and along with Chrome, something akin to it, but it's a little more of a kludge than this easy clicking the book icon in the URL line and getting rid of all the distracted material. However, it doesn't always show you all the graphics you may want to refer to in reader mode. This is taking Avast geek settings. I've been doing this for, I'd say, about 15 years, and I never read an article about it. I just went to the settings and I found the stuff, and I figured it out all by myself. This applies to AVG. Avast bought out AVG years ago. It's set up, whatever you see in this article applies almost 100% in AVG. And both the AVG and Avast that I'm using are free versions, not paid versions. So they have been begging me to buy. Then Avast got bought out by Norton Utilities. So it's under, both of them are now under Norton. So far they haven't changed anything that bothers me realistically. This gives you all the information you need to take Avast or AVG, say the free version, and you come up here to the menu. You select, let's see if I can magnify that. Well, that helps. You click on the settings. It comes down to a page like this. You click on protection here on the left side, and you go down, and it gives you lots of options to be able to change settings. But as you can see, you're not seeing the screens. Part of that is the low processor that I have in this machine. It's got some of the graphics, but there's a graphic missing. It's missing there. If you run it on your machine, odds are you would see in reader mode the graphic, but it's a limitation on this current machine at 8 gigs, running 11. I'm going to kill a cat here in 3 seconds. So if you don't like it, turn off your sound. Anyway, basically, I'm going to come back to auto reader mode for this so you can see some of the graphics. And again, I'll try and enlarge this as much as I can. And it starts getting into the protections, and it gives you an update option. You can keep your version as up to date manually, or it will do it automatically. You have in here troubleshooting capabilities. You have a whole bunch of settings for protection that enhance what you get when you download the free versions. Why? All the software manufacturers may have a plethora of various settings and options in their software, but they ship it out, meaning a download to your machine, for easy install with no problems and issues. It's up to you to find the settings and preferences, go through them, and customize them any way you wish. So there are performance settings, there are a lot of security settings, and you literally have to go through all of this article. This is getting to the core shields. This is part of protection. So you have here different kinds of behaviors to be checked and set up with all their options. It's how old this is versus the current version, I can't tell you. I haven't had enough time to go through much of anything in any of these articles other than briefly, because my time's at a premium. I'm having to do things I don't want to do, but am being forced to do. So I'm moving on to the next item unless somebody's got a question or issue. Use your raised hand item at the bottom of the Zoom screen. If you don't see raised hand, click on more. You will see raise hand. That gets hopefully my attention, or somebody will say that somebody has their hand raised. Now, next item. Now this, as far as I'm concerned, is something from Microsoft. It's in beta, meaning it's not production. You can get it, you can run it. It should have been started 30 years ago, is my professional opinion. It's a nice little utility. But this is the article, and I'm going to see what it'll give me in reader view. And enlarge it some. Okay. This look is version 1. Current version is 3.43. And they've added some nice features. They changed the layout a little bit, and I'll show you that live. But it basically takes various utilities existing in Windows 10 and 11 that are scattered all over the place, that you have to know where to go for each one of these possibilities, and puts them all in one easy app to make it easy to do some maintenance on your computer. What kind of things? Health check. Part of that is it runs Defender even if you have a third-party AV installed, unless you disabled Defender antivirus. If you did that, it won't give you that kind of information. It storage management. This tells you about how much storage you got. Gives you the ability to set up storage sense if you haven't done it in Windows settings. You have process management to tell you what is running on your system, and you can actually bring some of those to an end if you don't need them right now. But make sure you don't need them. If you disable something that is critical to the system, you may have to reboot your computer in order to get yourself back running again, because it's not permanent. It's a temporary thing until you either start it up again manually or you restart your computer. And then you have things like startup apps. Well, you got more apps than you honestly know in your system, because Microsoft for a couple years now has been taking things out of Windows, making them apps in Microsoft Store, and when you install updates, upgrades to Windows, you are getting a bunch of them in your system. And I'll get a little bit deeper into that shortly. But this is available to be used by anybody who wants to download it. This gives you an idea of the health check, I think it is. It's either the health check or the deep clean. So you've got bunches of things to go through. Now I'm going to show you my version, which is newer. At least I hope I can show you. This is my screen. I have, it always comes up under what's called Home. It gives me what's called PC Boost. It tells me I'm using 68, well, just dropped to 66% of my 8 gigs of memory. And it thinks there's temporary files almost 5 megabytes, whopping amount. But I can press the boost button, get that down to 0, and it'll start dropping my memory usage. But it'll come up quickly as soon as I get other things going or continuing on with this process. Here's Health Check. Health Check is looking through a whole bunch of things, and it gives me some startup options down here that have high impact on boot up. Well, the first one is Avast, the AV program. You have to be suicidal to turn that off at startup, because you would have to manually start it when you get up and running. The next one is Malwarebytes Windows Firewall Control. I ain't going to shut that off because it gives me extra protection above the default in Windows. Now,
Your screen isn't changed.
pardon?
Screen isn't.
It didn't change? Let me stop sharing and I'll share it again.
Looked like it was.
Come on. Thank you for saying so. Anyway, let's see if I can bring that back up. This is Health Check. It gives me down here startup items that have high impact on booting. But that's my AV program. You always want that on. This is an add-on to firewall control to give me added protection. I'm going to have that on all the time. Status monitoring application. That's one, if I want to, I can say disable it so that it doesn't start up at boot up time. And if I still want it, I would then have to manually start it. So and all you have to do is hit proceed. It goes through. It says it did whatever it did. Click done. I'm back to here. I can check my processes. These are the running processes. It gives you an end button, and you can disable anything that's out here understanding that you may have a problem. There's a lot of edges here. Why? Because I got a lot of tabs up here in Edge, but I put them to sleep so that they're not taking up memory right now until I run them. If I hit end on any of those, it's going to be able to close that tab so it's no longer available, which I wouldn't want in a presentation. I've got to talk to you about widgets. That's something I haven't completed on as we go along here. I'm going to just back out of that one. Deep clean. This goes through and checks off a lot of things. However, there are application catches here, specifically the Firefox. I have Chrome on here also, but right now I can't tell you why it's not offering to get the cache cleaned out of Chrome. Maybe there's nothing there right now, but I can put a check mark in. It'll check for that. Down at the bottom is one here for Edge temporary files and details about it. If I click on that, I can say proceed, and most of them it clean, but it will have some that says skipped. Now, part of the reason for skipping, if the file that was detected is still open by the operating system or application, it cannot delete it. Only closed files can be removed that are classified trash. They're no longer needed, but the system and your applications have left them behind. It's up to you to clean out the garbage. Just like in your house. From time to time, you got to take the garbage out. There's no way around it. Next that I want to bring up is startup. This gives you your startup items. You have off-on switches that you can turn them off if you want. You have to understand what they are and what the consequences can be. But most applications, when you install them, are trying to put something into startup, mostly just to check if there's a new update, because a lot of people don't update their software, so they get a pop-up when a new version comes out to download and update their software. That's a rough way of doing it, but in any case, it's there. Now, you can go to protections. Protections on the left side here. I'm going to see if I can increase that. No. That one's stubborn. It's a window size I can't change. Anyway, it gives you Windows updates, and it says there's something available. I got curious about that when I saw that, so I clicked on it, but I left it as is. There is a virus definition for Defender available, supposedly, and so you might want to consider hitting the update button. But before I do that, there are driver updates. There is a gotcha. Sometimes Windows, in offering you driver updates, give you older versions than you may currently have on your system. Just a word of warning. Right now I've got two, one for the Dell monitor I'm connected to, one for a firmware, it doesn't give you details, and then three for Intel components. I'll deal with this at a later time, not now. Next is storage. I can do a deep clean also from here. I can download check the download files I have on the system. Maybe I want to prune some of them out of the system to make more space and make the system smaller and faster. This gives you also the ability to search for large files on your system. If you see a large file, is it an application you installed but you're not using anymore, or you seldom use it? And if you're running low on disk space, you might want to consider uninstalling it. Use Revo uninstaller or Geek uninstaller. I'll get to that a little bit down the road here. Also, you can turn on storage sense. I at first didn't mess with this, and I've been using storage sense for quite some time. You can adjust how long files may stay on your system before they're deleted. 60 days is going pretty far out. 30 days, that's once a month. I can live with that one. 14-day and 1 day, that's up to you whether you have things in, say, the trash bin, and you have a tendency to delete files you didn't want to delete. Well, if they're still in the trash bin, you can right-click, open trash bin, click on the file that you accidentally deleted, and say restore it, and it'll put it back exactly where it was. If you also right-click your storage bin on the desktop, it gives you a top option to empty your trash bin. If you don't know what's in there, you might get rid of something you didn't want to get rid of. I'm just giving you a warning. So you have that, and it gives you the ability to configure when it's to take action, default number of days, it stays out there. Delete files from download folders is, for me, set to never. I have to manually prune mine. I've seen a lot of people that download a lot of files that should have been moved to, say, the documents folder or deleted when they were done with them. And that's not good when you have it set to never. You would have to go through here and select one of these options. So it gives you a lot of flexibility of doing things in one lousy spot. Now back to here, the next thing is called apps. It gives you the ability to see what's running on the system at any point in time. It says I'm right now running 42 processes. These are the processes. Again, on a temporary basis, I can say take some of these I know I'm not using right now, or they're not protecting my system, and I can say end. But if the operating system says, no, you need that running, it'll relaunch it all by itself. I'm not kidding. I've experienced that already. But if it's not one of those applications, it will end it. Then the next time you restart your computer or shut down and start back up, that process will likely be running again. So it's not a permanent thing. This is a temporary way, especially if you get an app that freezes up. If you still have some control, you can come in here, find in the listing here that frozen app and say end it. And it's ended the program. You could possibly then restart that program and still use it, but it might freeze up again. There's no rhyme or reason. It could be a bug, it could be a virus in your system you don't know about. I don't know. Startup apps. This gives you a second place in this one application for turning on and off startup applications. You want to keep that to an absolute minimum so that it starts up as quickly as possible. Managing apps. This will give you brings up settings set to all installed apps on your computer. Guess what? A whole bunch of these are progressive apps from the Microsoft Store besides the ones you have installed that are regular programs or apps. And you can right click, you can click on the three horizontal buttons here on the right side, and you can uninstall Microsoft apps that you don't use. You can, anything that's out here that you can uninstall with one understanding. The uninstall from Microsoft leaves files on your system quite often because the uninstall application within the program doesn't do house cleaning well enough. I have seen a few that do an excellent job, but they're rare. Also, it leaves all the registry settings it put in your registry, and your registry keeps growing bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger, slowing you down, booting up the computer, and it may even slow down your use of the computer. Rebo uninstaller, Geek uninstaller will take out the extra trash left behind if you run the scans and say, delete all these registry entries I no longer need, and delete any files left over. It's an easy way of getting rid of a ton of trash that the regular cleanup trash programs don't know is trash that can be gotten rid of. I'm serious when I say it. So I'm going to get out of that one. And then the last one is Microsoft Store, and I want to bring that up. It's going to launch actual Microsoft Store. Unfortunately, because of resources on this system, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Now, besides you being able to search the Microsoft Store for things you want to put on your system, whatever the reason, and you just put up here what you're looking for, and it'll give you ideas of what is available that maybe gives you what you want. You got to read the descriptions, and then you still got to take a gamble that it's really going to be an app you want to use and keep. The main thing I'm bringing this up for, this is part of your updating you're responsible for. Sometimes the apps from Microsoft Store will automatically update, and sometimes they do not. You come down here on the left side near the bottom. I'll see if I can enlarge that. Nope. There's screens that will not enlarge. Anyway, it says library. You click on library. It's now looking at all the apps from the Microsoft Store you have on your system. That's what's out there on this 11. And I've only pruned a few of these out, but I have pruned some. You click on Get Updates button. If any of them have new versions, it will start automatic installation of them and get you up to date. Sometimes that can be important because sometimes you find out new features are available that interest you. In other cases, you may start having problems with old, obsolete versions of the program not working right. You may have stumbled across a program bug, security vulnerability. There's a plethora of possibilities. So you have to look at it. Mine is all up to date because I went through this earlier today. And once you say get updates, it found 5 or 6 of them and it automatically updated them. So I have no more updates right now. Close that out. The last one is very interesting. This was added in either version 2 or just in version 3 of this application. This here usually is off. I recommend turning it on, and there's a reason. It creates a toolbar. What's the toolbar? This pop-out, I hope you can see it, is the toolbar. This is the boost function. It gives you these 9 current versions of tools you can add to this bar for quick access versus maybe pinning them to your taskbar. I have Screenshot, which is this one here. I have Notepad, which is this one here. I have Edge Quick Links, which is this one here. And I have this one here, the calculator here. Plus, there is settings for open PC manager. I'm already open, so if I wanted to open up this screen here, it would open it up from this toolbar. This little toolbar can be moved to the right side, to the left side, to the top side. It cannot be moved to the bottom side unless you move your taskbar to the right or left side or the top of your screen. Then wherever the taskbar is, you cannot put this little taskbar up there where the taskbar is. You can only put it on the other 3 sides. It's an interesting little tool. Trust me, it is something that should have been done hell of a long time ago. And it would be less confusing and much easier for everybody to learn how to use this one tool and do cleanup. But this is basics. This does not replace any other cleanup programs. Cleanup programs, think of it this way. There's at least a dozen people on this meeting. Okay, that having been said, each one of us may have up to 80% common knowledge. The other 20% is our individual specific knowledge about things and our personal perspective on things we see, hear, and do. And when a developer creates a piece of software, he is creating it with his perspective and his knowledge. And I usually run a half a dozen cleanup programs. The first one will get the vast majority of the trash, but the other ones all find trash. A couple of them will find various registry entries that are not necessary to your operation that can be easily removed without causing problems. At least I haven't run into it for years. So it is something to think about. And you'll get a list of all this stuff at the end of the meeting. Next, this is Microsoft's site for this tool and how to download it. And you get this information in the handout, so you don't have to go playing games trying to read the URL on the screen, or me having to put the URL into the chat so that you have a copy. Next is something called Patch My PC. I learned about attending meetings at APCUG, and I've been using it for close to 2 years now. It's a terrific little application, but it only updates free software. If you have like Macro Reflect, it will not update that. If you have some other programs, mini tools for partitioning, it will not update that either. And there's other things. So you have to look at the list of what it supports versus everything you have installed on your system, and anything not in the list of programs are things you are going to have to find another way of keeping up to date, because old obsolete software becomes a security vulnerability the bad people can take advantage of. Now, all you have to do is download the application, and I'm going to launch the program, I hope. And this is now, it puts it in the download folder. I leave it there, just like some other tools. I then go into the download folders, and I right click on them and select create a shortcut. And I put the shortcut, if I have to, manually to the desktop. In some cases, it'll pop up a message saying, I can't put it here. Do you want me to put it on the desktop? So this is my Patch My PC. I have to put in the administrator's password because everybody should have an administrator account and at least one user account they use on a daily basis for safety. And when you're changing things to the system, it requires the administrator's password when you are in the standard user account like I am. And at the same time too, if you're in the administrator's account running the program, you will be asked, do you want this to run, yes or no? And you click yes, and it runs. It loads up anything listed here in this little window, and I can't enlarge that either, sorry, is programs I install. And when they turn red, it knows that there is an update available. It may or may not be available today, some tomorrow. It will be. It will tell you down here how many it's ready to download and update on your system. This is the main software. It collapses like that, and you can go through this list of software and install anything there. I got Avast, but I could have chosen AVG free antivirus if I wanted to. A program that I recommend for cleanup comes from the Linux world called BleachBit. If you're into Linux, you should have heard of BleachBit by now. This is a good program to run, but you have to do some settings and on the first time. After that, it remembers what the settings are. I'm not done with Patch My PC, but I'm going to run this to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I know a few of you in the group know already what I'm talking about because they know BleachBit from Linux. But it has been available on Windows and Mac OS also. Come on. Oh, you didn't? Come on. I may be running out of resources because it doesn't want to come up now. So I'm going to continue on here, and maybe the other one will pop up. Another one I recommend if you want remote computer support, I recommend installing a program here. It's up above. Ooh, there it is. Called AnyDisk. It's got a white with a red diamond overlaying the white diamond. And this is remote software I have moved to, and it's a lot better than my prior choices of tools. It works on any OS that any of us may be using. Another one for Windows I recommend is Advanced System Care. This does a lot of cleanup and tune-up, and it's easy to use. Coming down further, this one's starting to bother me some. It's not as good as it used to be in giving you updated drivers. It's called Driver Booster by IOBit. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to mess with it, but occasionally, initially, when I create a new system, it gives me a bunch of updates. This machine, it gave me a dozen right off the bat. Then, if you're into like Linux and some other instances, there's Etcher here. That's one program. Rufus is another one. But Rufus puts itself in the download folder. You have to create a desktop shortcut out on the system. Etcher will install and put an icon on the desktop. There's lots of other things in here. You can install Chrome if it's not there. You can install Opera, I know. Firefox is another one. So there's other browsers. Marathon is also a browser, but I think it had ties to China. I don't know if it's mainland China or Taiwan. It's hard to tell anymore. I used it for some years back. I stopped using it when I found out it was with China and the problems we've had with them. Another program that's great for cleanup is Privatizer. The first time you set it up is one thing, and after that, it takes your settings and uses them every time. It finds trash, gets rid of it, and I usually use this as one of the last cleanup tools, so it's still finding lots of garbage. Also, it will take your free space, and if there's any remnants of files that could be recovered by malware or a hacker, it makes them unrecoverable. So you have to understand, if you delete a file and Privatizer comes along, you can't retrieve that file. But if you know you deleted it, you can take action right away and probably recover that deleted file, unless you held down the shift key when you deleted it, because then it'll pop up a message. Do you really want me to delete this file permanently? Meaning it doesn't go to the trash bin. Otherwise, without the shift key, it goes to the trash bin, and when it goes there, hey, if I made a mistake, right-click the trash bin on my desktop, open up the trash bin, there's the file, I right-click on it, and I say restore, and it puts that file right back where it was, where I deleted it from. There's issues with PDF files. I haven't recommended Acrobat products. I don't know Adobe products. Partly because they haven't got a clue what security and privacy really are, as far as I'm concerned, or at least they've had that track record. Maybe they've improved, but I was done with them more than a decade ago. Now, PDF files can be opened by Edge, but you can turn that feature off. I have on many systems and used Sumatra PDF. It's one of the recommended PDF readers. So that's something that I could put on. I have not, at least at this time. One of these days, I've got to get into another program on this list that is involved. Maybe the next couple meetings, I will get to presenting the tool. But I want to go down here. And by the way, let's say over here, it originally said I got 8 programs to update. So it says 8 programs down here. If I check one of these files, it automatically will put in a check mark if I do it right. And it'll say down here, one more program to install. And it would be a first time for that particular program. So it would download it, automatically install it. It does not leave any files in your download folder. This list can be exported. I don't remember the details because I took my, for this machine, which is new, I took a listing off of another machine, imported it into here, and got my software that I wanted back up here. Now, at the bottom here is portable software. Now, portable software means normally it does not install and modify the registry like most programs do in Windows environment. These programs can be put on a CD, a DVD, a USB flash drive, and run from those devices. It gives you more options of software that is portable. Adware is a good cleaner if you think you've got adware on your system. It's not as prevalent as it used to be because of a tool like this. Any disk can be put, instead of on your main installation, can be put on a portable device that you can take to somebody else's computer to connect them up to somebody else. You got CCleaner portable. You've got, let's see here. Here's Geek Uninstaller. Geek Uninstaller can be installed on the desktop, but here's a portable version you can run from, say, a USB flash drive. Here's Rufus that I use in addition to Etcher. I can download that, and it might install it to the desktop, but I don't think so. I think it'll put it in the download folder, and then you have to create a shortcut to your desktop to make it easy and convenient to do. And there's other various pieces of software. There's a ton of stuff here. Now, I see behind this, BleachBit finally came up. So I'm going to see what I can do here. Okay, I got that, but I cannot enlarge the print. I'm sorry. You have up here at the top left a preview button to check out what is it finds based upon this list over here. And when you've done the preview, when you click clean button, it will remove that garbage that it found. Deep scan, I always do, and I have to click OK, except for the last two. These last two here under deep scan, I say cancel, cancel. They are a Linux style, this is a virtual machine, excuse me, stuff. And I don't have virtual machine on this computer. If I did, that's a different story. I would have those checked off also. I have Firefox installed. So I click that. I go through these OKs. But most users do not have their browser start up where they left off. I do because I'm a researcher. I will uncheck system session restore. Pardon me. If I leave that check, anything that tabs that I left in the browser when I shut down my system or restarted the system will not come back. And you have to go into settings, history, and of that browser and try and manually recover what you want to keep. By unchecking this, that any tabs I left will come back the next time I launch it. Internet Explorer, I say let it do anything and everything. Edge, I go through any OKs. I take sessions. It's just called session in Edge versus session restore in Firefox. I uncheck it. Scroll down. Here's system. This one you got to be a little careful about. Check that OK, and we're going to uncheck free disk space because it takes a long time. I don't have any custom folders I want cleaned out, and it tells you what each of these categories is about. So if you don't really need it or you don't want to erase that information, uncheck it. Everything else I'm leaving checked off. Windows Defender collects garbage. It's now going to get disappeared. Windows Explorer, also we call it File Explorer now. And why they don't call it File Explorer, I'll leave that up to the developer to answer that question. I click preview. It goes through a lot of crap here. It prefers being an administrator because there's a lot of files out there it cannot, will not touch unless you log in as an administrator to the program. Hit clean and yes, delete. And down in the bottom left corner here, it's saying I already recovered 8 megabytes, and it will keep going through. There's a status bar here that's blue at the top. When it's all done, you come down here and it says I had about 129 megabytes. Down here, it removed 129 megabytes. It's not much because it's a fairly new machine. It's been cleaned up with garbage. This here is stuff that probably is open and it cannot delete them. So it puts them in red, just letting you know it was not possible for it to do something on those files. And it tells you down at the bottom here, you can barely make it out, how many errors that it found. It reads 19. I usually don't bother with it, honestly, because I know none of these tools can delete a file that's currently in use by the operating system or any program you have running, whether you know the program is running or not, because a lot of stuff runs in the background you don't even know is there. That's some of those 42 processes. Some of that's Windows. Some of that are programs that are running you don't even know are there. And they may or may not be needed. So we got that. Now, so this is a good little utility, honestly. I recommend it, but it will not update everything on your system. So there are other programs you're going to have to figure out how to update them and keep them up to date. I mentioned a couple early on. just as a reference point that this will not cover everything. And you have to look through all your applications installed versus the ones it knows and will keep up to date. Next, moving on. How to clean up and customize the Windows 11 desktop. This has got some pretty good ideas. I gotta keep refreshing because some of this is not working, I think, because of the CPU in the machine. But it gives you some general ideas. So I'm going to go into reader mode, how to clean up Windows, declutter icons on your desktop. I'm going to have to do that myself because I got too many on the desktop. I know that. But also declutter your taskbar. I know some people that exceed the capacity of the taskbar to hold in one viewing all the pinned tasks on the taskbar, plus the systems area on the taskbar. So you have to understand that. There is a way in 22H2 Windows 11 to now have multiple taskbars so that you can scroll through them and have as many. You could literally take anything that you got on the desktop, have it down on the taskbars, and you just may have to organize your icons for the most used on the primary taskbar and all others on the second and third taskbar, if that's what you want to deal with. Now, go down a little bit further, customizing your wallpaper. Wallpaper and your own pictures that you took, say, with your camera phone. They are real nice. There's a lot of people that use that, but it takes up memory and CPU resources that you might want or need at some point in time. Not every day, not all the time, but you may get a crunch in some instances, and having that little bit back might make a difference. But in either case, what you can do, and most of my systems are set up that way, except for 11 right now, Windows 10 and prior, I always use solid color. Solid color settings. Personalization, backgrounds. I have pictures in 11 right now. I could go to slideshow. I can go to Windows Spotlight, which I might try out. I have it set for login screen. Some very, very beautiful pictures come up on that. But it also allows for solid color. If I click solid color, it gives me a palette. Right now, it turned my screen's background to black. Well, on the administrator's account, I usually use navy blue. On a standard account, I use a green color. That gives me a distinction. If your machine has more than one user, have that user select one of the other colors, and that way, when they are logged in, they should see that color background and know that they have logged into their account. If they see a different color background, somebody else is logged in, they should either contact that person to have them log out, or they should log that person out before switching to their account. You want to die? This cat's driving me up the wall. But anyway, I got picture. I'm going to stick with that for the short term. But I'm real interested in Spotlight because I've seen some beautiful scenery shots taken by people. They are located inside Windows Store. If you are familiar with 10 under privacy and security, there's an entry called background. I used to turn that off, the master switch. It turns everything off. Well, I found out if I want Spotlight to work in personalization for the login screen, I have to have Microsoft Store active and settings active. Everything else I have to manually turn off. That way I don't have all the other applications possibly running in background. That takes up memory. That takes up CPU cycles. You may not be able to afford depending on the power and horsepower of your machine. It's one of those things. It's a trade-off. Also, some of the things that Microsoft and applications that call home, which is their developer's website, deliver information, usually anonymized, not personalized, to those systems. And this does not include cookies. Cookies is a separate issue. And there's a lot of sites anymore, websites. If you don't agree to a bare minimum of the cookies, you're not going to get your content. Next in here is customizing the mouse cursor. This cursor on this screen is green. It's larger. And this is a customization I did on this machine. I could have made the cursor pointer bigger. I could have made it a different color, etc. I can have it so that it changes color between a dark background and a light background. These are all possible options. Customize the desktop icons. You can take icons that are out there on your desktop by default and change them to a custom one you prefer. I would be a little cautious with that. If you're putting, for example, icons of quick access to your specific drives on your system, that you can customize any way you want to. If you make a shortcut to a website on your desktop to double click it and be able to launch it in the web browser immediately, you can do that. So you might want to put a custom instead of a default icon on the desktop so it looks better and is more recognizable. If you put a folder on your desktop, you can customize that so that it becomes more obvious for maybe a specific purpose, like your pictures folder, your video folder, your documents folder. You could have 3 different icons that you put in customized. Customize the look of the desktop with pre-designed themes. Themes are nothing new, but they may have a few new wrinkles here that are worth looking at. What about third-party apps to redesign your desktop? Be cautious. Know how to undo whatever these do if you don't like what you created, so to speak. Because sometimes you go too far and it may be difficult in some applications to undo what you did. So you gotta know a way of getting rid of it and getting your desktop back to what it was before you tinkered around with this redesigning application. So you can enhance the look of your Windows desktop. Well, you can do that to 10 too. It's up to you. It's your machine. If others have to use your machine, you might have to do some compromising. I think that's what happens when people get married. They have their own opinions before marriage, and there's a lot of compromise once they get married. So take that with a grain of salt. Next thing up, Windows 11's got something new coming. I don't know that it's there right now. I think it's something that is coming down the pike. It's probably in beta right now. Windows 11, let's see here. I don't think on this, no, I got reader view, but okay. What it's going to do, when you do a copy paste, you are copying things to the clipboard. Then you are pasting them somewhere else. If you copy your login credentials to any site, you have copied your username and you probably copied your password. If you get infected with the right malware or a hacker gets into your system, they've got all that information that's in the clipboard. Hopefully, at least once a month, you are cleaning that out with one of your cleaning utilities. Do not rely upon one to do everything. It also gives you in here Windows security. Password reuse, meaning you use the same password on 2 or more accounts, is a big no-no. It's stupid. If they crack into one of your accounts, the password you used, they're going to try it out on any other accounts they know you have and see if you reused them. And if so, they've got all those accounts you use the same password on, all compromised. They can lock you out. They can do things in your name, and the authorities come knocking on your door, not their door. And you could lose your computer, and you may not get it back. I guarantee that. Under some circumstances, I know of instances where that has happened. So be careful. You can use this application to change a password. It would probably have you put in your old password and give you a new recommended password. Length of the password is important. When I started using password generators, I think I was using 8-character passwords. They were recommended in security experts to go to 12. I went to 12. Later on, they recommended 16. I went to 16. And then the current one is 20 characters in length. Understand one thing. Per site, there may be limitations. I've seen 24 character length as the maximum. I've seen 30 character, 36 character. Not 30, 32. 32 and 36 are the more common ones. You should have upper lowercase letters. You should have numbers at minimum. But some sites say no special characters. Some sites say you have a restricted number of special characters. If you use a password generator, you may have to create one with special characters. Look at all the special characters in it and see if it's an allowed character. If it's allowed, you can use the password. If it's not allowed, then you have to hit the what's called a recycle button in order to generate a new password with new characters. And you may have to go through that a lot of times. If they don't show some kind of a restriction on the site, always have special characters checked. That way it makes your password much tougher to crack. Now, next thing. Oh, this is a good one. This is multiple articles here, about 6 of them. Google is testing out right now supercharge your searching with generative AI. It acts as an intelligent helper for what you're looking for and make recommendations, etc., etc. I'm not going to go deep into any of these articles. It's something you need to read at your leisure. This one here is sign in to the labs. In some cases, you may have to do a login to Google to have access to this. There may be a limited number of people they are allowing at any time to be logged in until this goes live. So treat it as betaware. That means there can also be bugs that you could find out as you use it. Try experiments. This gives you a little synopsis of what it's like and things you might do. They are looking for feedback, as any betaware, including Microsoft's Insider program, to try and point out problems they have so that they can correct them. They are looking for neutral or positive comments and feedback of problems. If you're going to be negative, don't bother with feedback. Feedback is built into 10 and 11 also. So if you've got positive, constructive complaints or suggestions for either, you can submit them via feedback. All they ask you to do is look through what's already posted out there and see if what you want to put out is already out there, and you can add your comments to the list of other people who already put the topic out there. If you don't find what you want to post, they'll be happy to let you post a brand new topic, and other people may see it and chime in their views and opinions about that issue. So when you're dealing with experimental software, feedback is essential. But even when it gets into production, they're always looking for feedback of ways they can improve things, add features, things like that. But keep it positive, not negative. A negative one, in most cases, will be ignored. Tell you that right now. Google Chrome Search Lab experiments here. How to turn it on, how to turn it off, because you may not want it live at all times. So this gives you the information you need to say, okay, right now I don't need it. I'll turn it off. When I need it again, I'll turn it back on. And this is, if you need to, you may have to do a sign up for the search labs to be able to install and use this. This gives you the instructions how to sign up for the search labs. I haven't done it yet. I only found out about this just a few days ago. It's something I'm still researching myself. Next, anybody here that uses Evernote, you're in trouble. Sorry. Evernote was created in 2004. It reached its pinnacle of users and happiness of those users back in around 2008, and it's been a slow progression downhill. Evernote started to take off in 2008, owned by this Phil Libin in the United States, Silicon Valley. And it spread to Europe, I know too. I don't know where else in the world. More recently, Evernote has struggled to capitalize on its early momentum, and the latest developments have left even die-hard users questioning whether it has a future at all. Last November, Silicon Valley-based business abruptly sold itself to a Milan-based developer. The company is called Bending Spoons. I'm curious what the implication is. Anyway, which went on and laid off 129 staffers in the United States. And they have very, very little left. They are abandoning the U.S. operations almost entirely. They are shifting development to Europe. That means it still may be there, but you may not like what you may end up with in the future. I'll let you read the rest of this. That gives you some background. This one here is from The Verge. It's basically giving you some additional information about it. It's been acquired by mobile developers, Bending Spoon, more for the phones, maybe tablets versus laptops, desktops. I don't know the mentality. I wasn't even able to take time to read this. Here is Joplin. Joplin is an open source free program that does something very similar. It can't be identical. You need to review this, do your own research. It may be an alternative to Evernote, and you may be able to extract from Evernote, because I got the implications from the other two articles. There may be stuff because of storage constraints that may start disappearing that you expected to be there long after you're dead. Not a joke. A lot of people think that way. And so you may have to grab what you got and stick it into another product. Now, Burt Good is very knowledgeable in this one here, Microsoft's OneNote. So if you run into problems or questions, Burt may be able to answer them better than I can, because I have not used OneNote. At times when I thought I had a little time, I was starting to look into it and got pulled away from that endeavor. But it has great potential. So here's two. One comes with your operating system, Windows, and one comes as open source software that works on any platform. Take your poison. Next, Windows 11 Simplified is a PDF ebook I was able to download. I don't know whether it's still available. I have it so that you can download it. I sent it out to all the membership. Bert is concerned whether I have the right to do it. I honestly don't know, but hopefully they don't find out. So that's something you can look at yourself. If especially you haven't looked into 11 and you don't really know 11 right now, that's something you might want to grab a copy of, download it to your system. You can look at it your leisure as a PDF file and learn the ins and outs of 11. Understanding books are static. This is based upon knowledge at the time it was written up. Life moves on, And 11 is already been changed quite a bit from what's in the book, but it's a good starting point to understand 11. And if you got 11 on some machine, this might give you information you just have not stumbled across or figured out on your own. Next, this one threw me because there's an issue about this one here. This is a video. It's a 2.5 minute video. I hope you're going to be able to hear it. Let me know. Now, I can't even hear it, so I know you can't. Share sound. Okay.
What's really important for security
Windows is kind of understated for security, but I think that's the beauty of it.
You shouldn't have to get and worry about somebody stealing all. You shouldn't have to worry about somebody saving all. You should just be able to use your computer.
What's really important for security to be something that makes it easy to do the right thing.
Every day there is about half a million new variants of malware. The entire security industry is like playing this whack-a-mole game. We don't need to chase them anymore. We're blocking the perimeter and just allowing the safe.
I don't know why that stopped. It could be on my end because of
Windows is kind of understated for security, but I think that's the beauty of it.
You shouldn't have to get and worry about.
And which ones should be blocked.
It's free. It's from the OS. Type it, smart control, and you're there.
People naturally make bad passwords. We don't blame them. It's just difficult to remember unique secure passwords. People tend to start their password with a capital letter and end it with a special character. For example, in Seattle, one of the most popular passwords was Seahawks. Whatever year you created the password. That's part of why enhancement was made, because we know that it's difficult to have safe password behaviors. So if a person enters their password into a phishing site, we will warn them and change their password. We'll also warn if they reuse their password, or if they type their password in an application that they shouldn't.
Just to protect you from leaving your documents that you don't want to be exposed.
Memory integrity is also called hypervisor protected code integrity. Code integrity checks to make sure that all of the components that are running on your system haven't been tampered with, and the hypervisor protected portion means that there's an isolated environment outside of all of this checking is done. We work pretty heavily with the Windows Insiders. They help us optimize our UI, identify performance improvements. Let's see, what do I want them to know about the work that I do? I actually don't want them to know very much about it. I want them to not have to worry about security on a daily basis.
It is never boring. The challenge never stops. Good security is something that protects you, but also doesn't disrupt you.
It's invisible.
okay. Now,
Windows is kind of.
excuse me. Now, I'm going to come down here to settings. Okay. Privacy and security. The top one here, Windows security. You click that and it gives you a lot of things here. App and browser control. This is the one they're talking about in that video. Come on. Now, here's Smart App. And there's also reputation, which is I can turn on. But on this one here, when I went to this one from another way of getting to it, there's always more than one way of doing anything on a computer. It said it is turned off. If I want it, I have to reinstall 11. But I did a clean install on this machine, and I don't remember anything popping up in setup initially that was anything about Smart App Control. So I don't know if I'll ever have this. I'm just pointing it out. So this is your all your Windows security stuff and you know what's on by the green check mark circle, here's other things you might want to consider. Device security and app and browser control they talked about in the video. If it says it's off, it also says you would have to reinstall 11 to activate it. This is not for 10. There's a lot of things now in 11, some of which I wish was available in 10, but never will be. All right, now, next on the hit parade, and we're beginning to run out of space. Time. 20 tips and tricks to increase your performance on 10. So if you're still on 10 on any machine, you might really want to go through this. It's got some good ideas. I'm not saying I agree with everything that's in any article. Also, too, by the way, in some of these articles that I'm showing you, there may be more than one article in the one tab. So you have to go down to the absolute bottom, and you may find suddenly there's another article, and then maybe another article. There may be a half a dozen articles. This one is not one of them. I'm going to let the 10 users go through this and see what they're talking about. Like I said, there's some good ideas, but this one ends. It's one article for that tab. Next up, ooh, darn it. Come on, get out of my way. Uh, 11 best performance settings. So if you got 11, and I haven't gone through this myself yet, but I'm definitely going to, since I do have 11. These are some ideas of things you might want to check out on your system when you understand it in order to get optimize your performance. I do want to mention this one here. This is true in 10, and I think it was even true in 8. I don't remember for sure. I'm going to open a run box and issue a command because I know it by memory. I use it so damn much. Oops. Oops. Keep hitting the wrong ones. Darn it. Oh, nuts. I forgot. I can't, I got to hold down keys. You got to run this thing as an administrator, but what's supposed to work didn't work. Oh, I know why. I got a spelling error. I missed a character. And I got to run it as an administrator. So I got to put in my password. Because you're changing a system setting. Now, again, I cannot take this box and resize it. But I click on Advanced. And I go to Settings. And note all the settings that are set here. I only leave 4. This article says turn them all off. Well, I'm going to show you what I leave on. I'm going to start clicking these off. And I leave show thumbnails instead of icons. Turn off that next one. Then I show Windows content while dragging the content instead of getting a blurry, unreadable movement of that information you're moving, usually a open window. The next one I turn off and I leave smooth edge for system for the screen fonts. It sharpens your labels here under your desktop icons to make them more readable. So that's why I leave that one on. And the last one is smooth scroll list box. If you have a long list of items in a drop-down menu list, trying to scroll down and read the content at the same time without this turned on is impossible. So you would scroll down a bit, stop the scrolling, read it, then scroll down some more, etc., etc. I'd rather have this turned on. Click the apply button, and while I'm here, I go to the advanced button. This is where your page file for virtual memory is settings are located. It's usually set to automatic manage page file size for all the drives. I don't prefer that. I turn it off. I select custom size, and based upon the amount of memory I have, the processor I have, I will set my memory minimum and maximum to an appropriate size for that system, and it will fluctuate all over the place. If I have more than one drive, and sometimes I do, I will take C and select no page file, but it still creates a tiny one. And I select the other drive if it's got space, and I will do the custom size on that one to take it off of drive C and put it on a different drive. It depends on you and how you have your system set up. So I'm going to get out of that. And these are various ideas that might be worth looking at. And because I'm running out of time here, I'll try one more. Now this one here, I want to bring up in particular. Any of them you see the word trending in orange like this one has multiple consecutive articles. And most of them are related to the first item. So this one says 10 hidden Windows 10 features you should be using. There's one for 11. You go down and there's the bottom and there's the next article. How to use the icon V command in Linux. Most of you aren't going to be interested in it, but I find several of these in here have ones you may definitely want to look at. So when it's trending, I'll tell you right now, it's got multiple articles. Here's Google Photos. Get a new scrapbook memories and AI tools. Here's another one. Google Photos Magic Editor will fix your pictures with AI. There's a ton of other articles here. Windows 7 Windows 11 features every PC user should try. Here's a Microsoft one. This is kind of interesting because you may not know some features this article review will tell you about that you might really want to know about. Upgrading Windows 11 to 23H2 that officially doesn't come out until the end of probably sometime in October as a guess. However, this one has multiple articles too, but it's also telling you here a big change over the last year or two. Microsoft is loading new features in every month's updates, but many of them are not activated. When some month update comes along or an upgrade comes along, they will suddenly activate those new items. I'm thinking they're trying to push some of this stuff out so that updating isn't quite as draconian as it used to be. And they keep them off so that they don't interfere with you. And as they make program bug fixes and vulnerability fixes to that software until they turn it on, you're not bothered. But then when they turn it on, you could be bothered by a bug that they didn't know about yet. You could also be having no problem until you start using the new feature and find out, hey, I got a problem. Maybe I need to report on feedback, but I'll check first to see if somebody else already reported it. If they did, I'll pipe in on that thread. And then if there is no reporting so far, I'll report it. The details in the devil. You may have to tell them all the characteristics about your machine and what operating system and version, and that is the whole version number, not just 22H2. They want the build number so that they can check things out from that perspective and maybe figure out the problem quicker and get it resolved. This is the real world. Oh man, this is getting to be a nuisance. Anyway, you have why you should be careful. If you got social media, you damn well better read this article. I guarantee you got some surprises of things you're doing that bad folks are taking advantage of. And you're the victim. And possibly other people that know you can become a victim as well. Differences between download and upload internet speeds. Here's a definition of what the heck this is all about. Give you more knowledge about the internet you're using. This is a cute one. Some guy realized one day he didn't know enough about the computers, just the applications, and he ended up writing something up. Yet here's chapter 1 down here, the basics. For some of you, this may be a darn good read to start understanding what a computer is, how it works, and how it does things. And I'm going through this real fast. A lot of seniors, they don't really need a regular computer or a MacBook of any kind. They can use a Chromebook. And if they like Windows Office, it's now available as an integration into Chromebooks. Surprise, surprise. Microsoft's putting Office in everything. I'm not joking when I say that. Cloud, can my cloud provider peek at my files? Answer, yes. Why? A, they're the master and control of that cloud storage. B, there have been instances of that happening. C, if you got stuff that is sensitive, you should encrypt it beforehand, before you upload it to the cloud storage. Do not use one password for encrypting things. Everything probably should have a separate password. Otherwise, if you keep reusing those passwords, you're going to have files that you can't maybe remember that bad people might get their hands on, and they can decrypt them and know exactly what the content is. There are lots of third-party encryptions. There is encryption capability inside of Windows, but it's a bit draconian, so I'm not going to get into that one. It's BitLocker. Here's a third-party Cryptomator. For encrypting your stuff, you would need to keep a journal whether it's written on paper or you create a document file, you keep a copy on a flash drive or a backup drive somewhere, and that way you know each document that you encrypted what the password was. Then you can access your own stuff. I also recommend you have a note with your will so that when you pass away, your relatives who are in charge of stuff now in your estate can access the information they may need, like tax returns as an example. I sure wouldn't put them up there without being encrypted, I'll tell you that. I wouldn't put any PDF files I might get from banks and investment sites up there without them being encrypted. Medical information. So take your poison, whatever you want, and one way or another, you have a situation where you have to expect the worst, not be so optimistic that, oh, this is not a problem. It can be a real big problem, especially when you got mortgages on your property you didn't know about, cars you bought that you don't have and can drive yourself. Those are real things, and it costs a lot of money in legal fees in order to clear your name, and a lot of time too. So I hope this covers what I have. My I forgot what I was doing. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, get out of here. Get out of, no, I don't. Jesus. Anyway, I gotta put that document. It's on this machine, but I accidentally shut off being able to turn off share. I wonder if there's a back door here. Nope, not that I see. I'm going to check one more thing here, folks. No, I'm not. Well, I might as well leave. No, I'm not going to leave. Again, I'm not canceling either. All right. Anyway, there's gotchas with anything and everything. Now, I've got to transfer a flash drive to another machine, and I'm going to try and see if I can share this document with the rest of you. There, like I said, there's a lot more documents on this download than is that I tried to cover quickly. Wrong one. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Wake up. Smell the roses. All right. Get out of my way. I'm going to the chat. I'm going to paste this and send it. Now, it depends upon the internet as to how quickly you see it, but if you open up chat, you will see what TAK sent this. It says CCS August SS. It's 11.54 kilobyte with a green circle and a checkbox. Click in that area and it'll allow you to download and save your copy of my document with live links you can click on, bring up the articles at your leisure, and review them, especially the ones that weren't in tonight's meeting. So we'll leave that up there. While that's up there, does anybody have any questions?
Well, very good presentation, Tim. Excellent.
Well, considering how late you were, you didn't get much unless
I got
if you
plenty.
get this document downloaded to your system, you can review all the articles.
Sounds good.
But it's up to each of you.
Good presentation. You spent a lot of time doing the setup on this stuff too.
No kidding. It's not something you're gonna do in 5 minutes.
You're not some of the others start talking.
Yeah, right. I can do that on some stuff, but I can't do it on everything.
Touching the newer stuff.
So anybody got any further questions or issues they want to bring up before we end the meeting? And I hope everybody has downloaded their copy, because once I end the session, you ain't gonna get it unless you email me to and beg me to send you a copy by email. All right, hearing nothing, which is no surprise, I'm gonna